Welcome everyone to Choice Conversations, the podcast dedicated to helping you improve your life, one choice at a time. I'm your host, Chris Stefanik. Let's do this. Today, I'm going to bring you a show about the principles of habit formation. So this is the first show in a new series, my Principles series, where I'm going to talk to you about the various principles of stuff that I teach my clients. The principles of habit formation, the principles of nutrition, principles of interfamily systems therapy, principles of meditation. There's going to be several of these I do. And the purpose behind it is I found when I was working with my coaching clients that I was teaching them the same lessons over and over again. And there would be a lot of kind of knowledge transfer up front of like, here's the knowledge I have on these various principles that you need to understand in order to be successful at what I'm helping you with, right? What it seemed to me like what would be a better use of my time is rather than having to spend a call going over the various principles and the like, if I could have a podcast where I detailed everything that I was, these conversations that I was having over and over again, just do it one time, make a podcast, put it out there, and then I could send to my clients ahead of time and say, hey, watch this video before we meet, and then we'll talk. And then when we get into the coaching call, we can dive right into their issues. Be like, do you have any questions about the video? Okay, great. Now let's get into the good stuff, right? Let's do the deep dive and really help you to implement whatever it is you need help with so that you can be successful. So I think it's going to be a really great tool for me and my clients. And I think, the rest of the audience, that you'll like it as well, to give you kind of a glimpse at what I do for my clients, and you'll learn some good stuff along the way. And hopefully, I don't know if you can hear that, but hopefully you don't mind my dogs barking too much in the background there. Before I get into the show, I did want to mention books.choiceconversations.com. That's where you go if you want to get my free ebook that provides my recommendations, my recommended reading that I give to my coaching clients, that I give to my family and friends, the books that have had the most influence on my life, the most powerful books I've found. And it's free. Go there, books.choiceconversations.com, sign up and get it. Anthony Samaroff is offering, for anyone who signs up for my free ebook, he's offering the first course, the first lesson, the first module from his personal development course, Surviving to Thriving. If you've been listening to my show for a while now, you know I'm a big fan of Surviving to Thriving. So it's super awesome that for you all, he's doing this special offer where you get the first lesson for free if you sign up for my ebook. So go ahead and do that, books.choiceconversations.com, and I think you'll like it. All right. The principles of habit formation. First of all, what is a habit? So I'm going to just read you the definition here real quick. A habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. Another definition, an acquired behavior pattern regularly followed until it has become almost involuntary. The American Journal of Psychology goes on about it. It says, habit, from the standpoint of psychology, is a more or less fixed way of thinking, willing, or feeling acquired through previous repetition of mental experience. Habitual behavior often goes unnoticed in persons exhibiting it because a person does not need to engage in self-analysis when they're undertaking routine tasks. In my experience, if you have to use willpower to do something, then it's not going to be sustainable. Willpower is a limited resource, and eventually it runs out, and then at that point, you're going to revert back to whatever it was you're doing. So the key to success in life is finding habits that lead you towards success. They're like life-serving habits, healthy habits. Forming those and replacing the bad habits that you have, the habits that are holding you back. Because once they're habitual, they don't require willpower anymore. It's just something you do automatically, subconsciously, right? Like they were saying in the definitions. You don't have to think about it even a lot of times. So it's really important stuff. When my coaching clients come to me, typically it's not a knowledge problem. I have tremendous knowledge in various areas across personal development, like I'm very strong in holistic health, in relationships, in healing childhood trauma, in life hacks. I know a variety of life hacks that are really helpful, productivity, these sort of things. I've got a lot of knowledge, great knowledge. But knowledge is just a Google search away. You don't really need me for knowledge. Most people, it's not a knowledge problem holding them back. They know that if they need to lose weight, they shouldn't eat that piece of chocolate cake, right? The problem isn't a knowledge problem. It's being able to implement something that's sustainable. Maybe they go on a diet for a while and they lose a bunch of weight, but they can't sustain it. And so they gain it all back. And then some, right? And then they're even actually worse off than they were before they went on the diet because they've gained more weight than what they had before. Plus now their self-confidence is taking a hit. They're like, I tried this and failed at it. And they feel like a failure. Healthy habits is the key to having this success, to having sustained success in your life. And, that's where my big value add is for my coaching clients, is helping them to implement these things in a sustained way. So I do that through two ways. Habit formation is one. I've got a lot of skill in helping them implement habits that then they don't require willpower. And the other is helping them to overcome self-sabotage, which we'll get into that in some other videos down the road. All right. Now, one of the areas where I learned a lot about habit formation was The Power of Habit from Charles Duhigg. One of my favorite quotes from this book is, the difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. They found that the habits are basically at the core of everything we do. The habits put your life on automatic. They say that roughly 40% of everything we do is a habit. I've also seen studies that have said 90% of the thoughts you have are the same thoughts you had yesterday. And those are 90% of those are the same thoughts you had the day before that, and so on. So our thinking is habitual. And of course, any actions you take in your life first start as a thought. You have the thought, and then the action happens, right? So we're habitual creatures. And mastering these habits, it's going to be the way to success. Habits, they work in a 3-step loop. So you have the cue, or a trigger would be another word for that. The routine, which is the habit itself. And then a reward. That they found that this is what happens when you have a habit. There's something that triggers you to do the habit. Then you do it. And then there's a reward. And the reward, that is what trains your brain. It reinforces the link between the trigger and the routine. It's that reward at the end. Your brain says, oh, this is good. We need to do this again. And it happens at a subconscious level, right? And, the interesting thing about this, what they found is that during habit formation, there's a big spike in brain activity at that first step, the cue, and the last one, the reward. But the brain, there isn't a big spike during the routine. And so what they found is you can actually transform a bad habit into a good one by leaving the cue and leaving the reward and replacing the routine with a new one. And it's very easy then. It can be very difficult to replace a bad habit if you don't replace it with a good habit. In fact, what they found is it pretty much doesn't happen. What happens is if you cut out a bad habit, you might be successful at cutting out the bad habit, but some other habit will replace it. You might as well have it be some habit of your choosing, because your brain is still hardwired for whenever there's a trigger. Oh, okay, I've got to do something. And it'll find something to put in there. And sometimes it's worse. A great example of this would be smoking, right? How many times do you see somebody quit smoking and then they gain a bunch of weight? It's because they didn't find a healthy habit to replace in there with the routine of smoking. So they have some trigger, like maybe when their friends go out on smoke breaks at work. That's the trigger. Oh, okay, I need to go smoke. Or maybe it's when I'm feeling a little stressed. Okay, that's the trigger. I need to go smoke. Or I'm tired. That's a trigger. I need to go smoke. And then afterwards, they smoke and then they get that relief from the stress. Or they get a pick-me-up. And they feel a little more awake, Well, they don't have the cigarette now, so they're like, okay, they default to eating. And what happens when you eat sugary foods? You get a spike in energy for short term. So they're like, oh, I'm tired. Eat the sugary food. Oh, I get a spike in energy. I feel good. You're stressed out. A lot of people, food is like a drug. You eat food and it relieves that stress and they feel better. That's why the whole term comfort food. Oh, this is a comfort food. It's comforting because food can be like a drug for people. And just like tobacco is a drug, they try to quit smoking tobacco. Were successful with that, but they didn't replace smoking tobacco with something else healthy. And they just could replace it with another drug that is also very damaging to your health. If you're, have a bad relationship with food, if you're using it for stress relief, if you're eating a lot of sugary foods or things like that, there's all kinds of other health risks that go along with it too. I mean, I don't know that it's just as bad as smoking, but it's bad for you, right? Much better than rather just to have some other habit randomly form. Let's choose a habit to put in there. When you're getting rid of a bad habit, let's choose a healthy habit, a habit that's going to lead you towards your goals, towards success to put in there. And the other thing too is not only that, do you end up with a habit you don't choose, but it's very difficult to stop a habit, to stop a bad habit if you don't replace it with something else. Very difficult. So it's going to, by putting another habit in there, using the same triggers and same rewards, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to stop the bad habit. And you're then going to be killing two birds with one stone. You're going to be adding a positive habit in place of a bad habit. So you're like, not only are you getting rid of a negative, you're adding a positive. So the net result, you're going to be much better off by doing this. All right, let me give you an example. So say in the morning, you walk in the kitchen, you see the coffee pot, you see your coffee maker. That's the trigger. That's the cue. You then go on to make the coffee, start drinking coffee. That's your routine. That's the habit. And you get to smell that delicious coffee. You get to taste the rich flavor. That's the reward for it, right? While you're wanting to break that coffee habit and maybe you're drinking too much caffeine, right? Instead, you leave the same triggers and the same rewards, but replace the regular coffee with decaf coffee. And it's very easy to make that switch then. You see the coffee pot and you just make decaf instead of regular. You still get the delicious flavor, delicious smells, and so on. Or maybe another example. So going back to what we were talking about earlier with cigarettes, you feel yourself getting stressed. Rather than going for a cigarette or going to eat some unhealthy foods, instead, maybe you go for a short walk. Or maybe you do, 5-10 minutes of a mindfulness practice, or maybe a 5-minute journaling exercise, something like that. All of these things are known to reduce stress. You feel the stress, you have the cigarette, it relieves the stress. That's the trigger, habit, reward. Well, all those things I just mentioned also are known to relieve stress. You'd still get the same reward, and they're also very healthy for you to help increase self-awareness. Like I said, in a healthy way, reduce stress, increase focus, and a number of things like that. So, those are some examples of how you can replace a bad habit with a good habit. Now, you can just implement a new habit in your life without having to replace an existing habit. It's a little more difficult, because you have to rewire those neural pathways to create the habit. But you can do it. It's just a little easier if you're replacing a bad habit. So, I've certainly done both. I've replaced bad habits using this method, helped a lot of clients with that. And I've also created brand new habits just by, consciously thinking, what's going to be my trigger for this? What's going to be my reward? I mean, the great thing now with phones is it's really easy to have triggers. If there's something that you want to happen at a certain time of the day, phones are great for that. Just schedule it. And then you get an alert on your phone. You're like, oh, yep, now I'm supposed to go meditate or whatever that is, Now I'm supposed to go to the gym. Speaking of going to gym, maybe you're wanting to go to the gym right after work. So what you do is you set an alert that for the morning, first thing when you get up, it goes off then, or maybe at night and the alert is pack your gym bag and put it in your car. Put it in that passenger seat. So then when you get out of work, you look right over, there's your bag of gym clothes sitting right beside you. That's the trigger that then tells you you're actually building kind of two habits there. You have The one habit is to put your gym bag in your car, either the night before work or that morning of work. And then the second habit is to then, when you get out of work, you see your gym bag to go to the gym. So, you need to figure out some kind of reward for those as well. I like intrinsic rewards works in my mind better than just tagging on some random reward. So you could have something like, hey, whenever I go to the gym, I get to play video games for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. It's kind of random. You could do that if you want. I kind of prefer there to be something that's more intrinsic in it. Like you say, oh, when I go to the gym, that's when I get to socialize with my friends at the gym. So I'm just really be mental about that and make note of it. Say, have a lot of awareness about that and say, oh, when I'm at the gym, boy, I'm really having fun socializing with my friends. I'm so glad I came today. Or maybe it's you feel the stress relief. Again, exercise is a great stress relief, and just be mindful of that, oh, I'm feeling, and that way you'll really get that reward if you're mindful about it and are like, man, I'm really feeling that stress just melt away from my body. Or, exercise can release endorphins and feel good in that way. So there's a lot of intrinsic rewards. My thing for exercise actually is, like, if I'm doing resistance training, I don't have a gym membership. I just work out with body weight at home and maybe a couple other weights, like I have kettlebells and stuff like that. What I do on my intrinsic reward is there are certain TV shows that I watch on Netflix that I only watch them when I'm doing resistance training. And I make sure, to get just shows that I'm really wanting to watch. If there's a show that I'm just kind of about, I don't watch, I go on until I find one. I'm like, oh yeah, this one is I really want to know what's going to happen next in this one. And then that'll be one I'll only watch it when I'm working out. And so then it's I can't wait to go work out again because I want to see what's going to happen next in the show. And, another point I stress with my clients is you're going to end up missing a day. You're going to end up not every time being successful. And what most people do is they're like, oh, you know what? I tried this diet. I went to a party. There was cookies. I ate cookies. I can't do this diet. It doesn't work. Diet doesn't work for me. I can't do it. I tell them, no, you're going to eat a cookie. That's going to happen. You're going to have times when you're quote unquote cheating on your diet, right? There's going to have times when you forget to do your daily meditation practice or something comes up or whatever. It's going to happen. So plan for that and expect it, and don't beat yourself up about it. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it 1 minute. Just get back up and do it again the next day. So I liken it to, riding a bike. We all, have ridden bikes when we were kids. We'd fall off. Do we say, this bike riding thing doesn't work. I fell off. Screw this. I'm not bike riding anymore. No, you get up, you dust yourself off, you get back on your bike and you keep riding. But that's exactly what people do when they're trying to implement various habits in their life, like a diet or a workout routine. You know what? I didn't make it to the gym this week. This whole working out thing's just not working out. No pun intended, I guess. Just didn't realize I even said that till I said it. But yeah, they're like, it's just not working out. I can't do this. It's just not my thing. It's like, no, that's going to happen. There's going to be times when you don't make it to the gym. Don't sweat it. Do not even let that bother you for 1 second. Just be like, yeah, no worries. Chris told me this was going to happen. I'll just go tomorrow. And then just go tomorrow. And another thing I wanted to stress, another really important thing about habit formation is, in the beginning, it is really important to try to do this every day. You might miss a day, but just be that much more diligent about coming back and do it the next day. You want to try to do this every day. They say a minimum of 3 weeks, 21 days. I've heard as much as 2 months. Or even 3 months. That's a little excessive. In my experience, it's about 3 to 4 weeks. And then the habit is solidified at that point. At that point, you've got the neural pathways formed. If you do it every day for 3 or 4 weeks, and it gets a lot easier. Because in the beginning, it does take willpower. When I said the great thing about habits is they don't take willpower. Well, that's once they're formed. Once they've worked those neural pathways in your brain, you're not blazing a new trail, right? The trail is already nice and blazed, and it's just the path of least resistance is to go down this trail. Well, in the beginning, you've got to blaze the trail. So there's going to be some willpower up front. So just expect that. But if you can get yourself to get through those first 3 or 4 weeks, it gets a lot easier at that point. That way, at that point, you don't need willpower anymore. All right, that's the principles of habit formation. I hope you like that. If you did, please support the show. Go to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe, share it on social media, tell a friend, all that good stuff. Super, super awesome. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Speaking of appreciation, it's my pleasure to be here with you in these podcasts. So until next time, have a great day. Or not. The choice is yours.